delegate from Afghanistan, I think we've all heard you loud and clear, and we will certainly do our best to relieve you of your suffering. Honorable Speakers of Parliament, distinguished members of Parliament, Mr. Chair of the High-Level Advisory Group on Countering Terrorism and Violent Extremism of the IPU, ladies and gentlemen, it is very late in the day, and normally I would not like to take the floor to extend the amount of time that you're required to stay in this room here. But you'll agree with me that the subject of our discussions here is a very important one, and we can allow ourselves that little sacrifice to close this conference on a very positive note. On behalf of the organizers of this meeting, I want to thank each and every one of you for your active participation, especially staying here late into the afternoon. We know how close this matter is to your heart. I have been listening, sitting behind there, listening to the deliberations here. I am very reassured that the issue of terrorism and its aftermath and its consequences is top priority for you all. This summit has been organized as a partnership with the United Nations. We have had a host of partners involved, the Inter-Parliamentary Committee of the G5 Sahel, and lots of expert organizations who have contributed substantively to the debates. One thing that I find very heartening is that, for once, we are focusing attention on the human being. Today, I saw evidence that we were giving priority to those who have suffered from terrorism, the victims of terrorism. We have given voice to them today during this summit. And as I speak here, I am reminded of the sobering words of the Kenyan MP, himself a victim of terrorism. From this pulpit, he said that not enough attention had been paid to the victims of terrorism, not enough support has been extended to the victims of terrorism. I am sure that after those sobering words, after all we have heard here, we are more resolved to go back home and make sure that we take action that turns victims of terrorism into survivors of terrorism, to make sure that they can reintegrate society, they can recover their dignity, and that they can live like any other human being. So I am very grateful that we have been able to turn attention on this particular issue. And of course, we have heard that one of the challenges is funding. We have heard that resources are very scarce when it comes to combating terrorism. But I want to pay tribute to those countries that are on the front line of the global effort to fight terrorism. Today, we have spotlighted the role of parliaments and parliamentarians. We have stressed the importance of prevention. We have stressed the importance of addressing the root causes of terrorism and not just the manifestations of terrorism. I am very glad that we have all identified what we have to do. And again, I am reminded of the words that have just been expressed by the moderator of the previous session. He says that we have heard the same language over and over again, and what we need now is action. And I would like to add urgent action, because 1 second can be too late. If we don't act, a second's delay may mean life or death for somebody somewhere in the world. So I think that we are now convinced that the risk that humans face to terrorism, it is for real. We have seen victims of the terrorism here. We have been convinced of the effects of terrorism. Let me say a few words about the session that has just taken place on the Sahel. As I said in my opening comments this morning, we are better advised to pay more attention to this part of the world because it has the potential for destabilizing the rest of the world as a result of terrorism and its manifestations spiraling out of control. I am glad that we have been able to focus on this during this assembly, this summit, and I am reassured by the call for the Sahel that I believe we can all rally behind. I am reassured that this call is not coming from just the IPU or just another organization. It is coming from a partnership of global and regional organizations. And I would like to encourage each and every one of us to join that call. I would like for each and every one of us to take action back home to give reality to that call and make sure that we are more robust in our response to terrorism in the Sahel region. The message that we have heard very clearly, and that was articulated by those who spoke during the previous session on the Sahel, I would like to refer to the Speaker of Niger, the Speaker of Benin, the Deputy Speaker of Mali, who have all said that it's important to give attention, to give voice to the people of the region. We can help, we can be facilitators, but I think that at the end of the day, we should be seen to be responding to the real aspirations of the people of the region who know best how they are suffering from the pangs of terrorism. So yes, we should, as the global parliamentary community, provide assistance to the Sahel countries like we would do to other hotbeds of terrorism, but let's pay attention to the voice of the people of the region. So thank you very much for your, I would say, very keen attention to the countries of the region. Again, let me register our thanks to our partners. This is a multi-stakeholder endeavor, starting with the parliaments, sitting here, or not sitting here, who are there, but who support our cause, the regional parliamentary bodies. We just had the Speaker of the Arab Parliament here. We had the President of the Parliamentary Assembly of the Mediterranean, and we also had the Executive Secretary of the Inter-Parliamentary Committee of the G5 Sahel. I'm sure there are many other stakeholders who would have liked to join their voice to the voice of those who have spoken here today. Let's be united in our common purpose to fight a scourge of our modern times, which requires a global effort. The IPU is very happy to have been part of this summit, to have co-organized this summit with its partners. And as I say, let's go home with the resolve to take action. Action now. Thank you very much, Dr. Al-Noaimi, for stressing that fact that we need to act now. It is within the powers of Parliament to act. We have heard it, as they say, from the horse's own mouth. Members of Parliament, speakers of Parliament, one after the other, have explained what they think they can do in terms of lawmaking, in terms of resourcing, in terms of holding government accountable for the global effort to fight terrorism. I mentioned the need to be preventative in our approach, and please, let's go back and do those things that would, I would say, nip the ground under the feet of terrorists. Let's be more robust in our development efforts. Let's be more robust in our inclusive management of society, including young people, including women in the governing structures. Let's be more robust in creating opportunities, jobs, education, and all of that for all of society, so that we can have a society where we can live in peace and harmony. You, I would like to say, as parliaments and parliamentarians, are the epitome of peaceful coexistence. You function with a diversity of interests in your midst, and you manage to come up with outcomes that generally reflect the will of the people. I would like for us to continue to build a culture of tolerance, a culture of respect for one another, in order that we can build harmony in our societies and in the world as a whole. So, Mr. Chair, let me use the opportunity to thank you for hosting us here. You have been very steadfast, Reinhold, in making sure that this summit is held under the best possible conditions. Thank you very much, and thank you to your colleagues, staff members of the Austrian Parliament, for the very strong support that we have enjoyed. We all have been guests here in Austria, and in fact, the organizers of this summit are the Austrians themselves. They have provided all the facilities. Thank you very much, Reinhold, and thank you to your colleagues. I would not like to conclude without thanking those people who have helped us break down the language barrier, the interpreters. They have worked very hard over this whole day, and given the fact that they have been here since Monday, Tuesday, we are very grateful that you have been able to facilitate our work. I will now, in addition to the call for the Sahel, also launch an appeal to all of you to go home and make sure that this summit has been worth the while, has been worth the resources that we have been investing. Make sure that we can all make progress in combating the scourge of our time, terrorism, violent extremism, intolerance in our societies, which, as we have all understood, are challenges to peace and security in the world. I wish you a safe trip back home, and we look forward to welcoming you here or somewhere else for the second summit of parliaments on countering terrorism. Thank you. May I now have the pleasure of declaring this summit closed on behalf of the organizers? Thank you very much.